Bookaholics. Today I am joined by Grammy Award winning clarinetist David Singer. David, welcome to the Bookaholic podcast.
Well, it's great to be here, Deirdre. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So today we're going to dive right in. The title of your book is From Cab Driver to Carnegie Hall. And so that's a very
Right.
interesting title. So that instantly tells us it's been a journey. And so we're going to
Right.
start where most of us start. We're going to start with your childhood and your surroundings and how you even got into music.
Okay. Great. Well, I was born at a very early age. No, I'm just kidding. How did it start? Well, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles. And now, almost 80 years later, I'm back not far, just a few miles from where I was born in Ventura County, just north of LA.
Oh, okay.
But in between, I went to a lot of places. Um, how did it start? I grew up just loved to be outside playing baseball and, just a normal uh, boyhood, I guess you'd call it. Um, I guess it was the fourth or fifth grade. I started noticing girls, and I had a crush on one particular one, Marie Rocky, and she was going to enter a talent show.
Oh,
And she didn't really notice me. I just kind of did everything I could to be around her, kind of from afar. Nothing creepy or anything like that. I was in fourth grade, but there was something about her.
right.
So I came home and told my dad that I wanted to enter a talent show. But he said, David, you don't know how to do anything. How are you going to enter a talent show? So my dad was a high school teacher. He was the band director of a local high school, Canoga Park High School. He started bringing home instruments, the violin, the trumpet, the flute. The clarinet just seemed to work for me. And I learned one song called Long, Long Ago, which is when it occurred long, long ago. And I entered the talent show and beat Marie Rocky, and she didn't want anything to do with me after that. But somehow, yeah. So what are you going to do? So I never stopped after that. I started playing, and it just seemed to work for me. And I started taking lessons. And then, because of a magical year that happened, it was as if we had won the lottery, but we didn't. Of course, my parents were from Eastern Europe. They were born in
Hmm.
both of them. My mom's from Kiev, and my dad is from Hungary. Never had any money. And I go into their stories. One running from the Russian Revolution in 1920, and the other running from Hitler, 1933.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
so that was my story. We went to Europe. We had a magical year, and I got certain experiences where I was able to be around icons of music because my dad started. He called up the principal clarinetist of the Vienna Philharmonic, a great orchestra, kind of like coming to Los Angeles and calling up Shohei Ohtani or one of the great baseball stars, Mickey Mantle. And my boy plays baseball. Would you teach him how to pitch? Would you teach him how to hit the ball?
Oh,
So,
wow.
but my boy plays the clarinet, and this particular person started, he agreed and he heard me play and he took me on as a student. And then he took me into the orchestra, this great orchestra. And I was able to sit with them during concerts and opera. And I was around so
Oh,
many great players. Even as a 12-year-old, I could tell, wow, this person's amazing. And these singers are incredible.
yes.
And they were singing about emotions. They were singing about, oh, I lost my lover. Where is she? And oh, she's dead. And what am I going to do? or
Right.
just all kinds of stories of human, like a soap operas.
Yes.
And I thought,
Yes.
wow,
Yes.
that's something I want to be around. I want to be around musicians and express feelings. So
Hmm.
that's what I decided to do. And presidents and heads of state and kings. I played for people all over the world and happened to hook on with a group that started playing for nothing, Orpheus Chamber Orchestra. And we ended up winning Grammy Awards and still being heard on the radio. And so it was a kind of a magic carpet ride, but at the same time, I was abused from in my home. I don't talk about it that easily, the particulars, but I will if you ask me. But my parents had their own stories of abuse and hardship,
Hmm.
and just again not having any money and having to always move. And so anyway,
Yes.
I thought
Yes.
that if I
Yes.
write a story of my story of having great success, but before that, growing up and having to overcome certain things, that other people would maybe say, "Hey, you know what? If he can do it, why can't I?" And so
Yes.
there's a lot of reasons for it. Anyway, that it gives you a little
Well,
idea.
yes, and so you see these movies, TV shows. If it involves a child musical prodigy, and then there's usually a parent. There's usually one parent who's easygoing, and the other parent is really driven, 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 and the child must practice, 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 practice. So what was enough for you as a child? Did you have to do those grinding practices, that type of thing to think to be great? Or was it just those feelings and the fact that your environment, was it just simply on that vacation, that magical summer, that environment is just what did it?
Both. I didn't really work that hard until through my teenage years. I started to want to get better because I was making friends with other young people who were also kind of involved with playing and kind of playing at a pre-professional level. And
Mhm.
then there were music camps that I went to
Yes.
and met kids who were older going to the Juilliards and the Curtis Eastman and the famous schools back east. And I thought, geez, this is an interesting thing. I'd really like to do that, to play, and
Yes.
but it totally made no sense. Can you imagine going to college and at the end you don't get even a degree?
Yeah.
They give you a piece of paper and it says he can play the clarinet. Great. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that? And so I ended up driving a cab. I ended up, climbing fences and running from guard dogs, selling welding rod. I mean, really, it's
Right.
completely impractical
Right.
to go. Of course, the school was free, and that's what really attracted my parents to this particular school, Curtis Institute of Music. I
Mhm.
didn't know at the time 3% acceptance rate. It was very hard to get in, but I somehow got in, and so it was hard. It was tough,
Yes.
and so
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So you finished with the Curtis Institute. And where's the
yeah,
Curtis Institute located?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Yes, yes, yes. And so you finished with that.
Yeah.
You're a young man. And so you start driving the taxi cab right then and also playing for free with Orpheus.
Well, it happened over time. Actually, my last year of Curtis, last year, I was involved in a relationship with this woman who was an opera singer, and
Oh,
so she had to go to Europe. She had to go to Europe because there were no jobs in the United States for young opera singers. We don't have that many opera companies. So she had
right.
to go to Europe. And so I said, if you go to Vienna, because as a boy, again, my parents, that's where I got to have all these
Oh,
great
right.
experiences. And the same
Right.
teacher was there. Um, And so we went to Vienna. Actually, the teacher, Rudolf Jettel, and player, was famous later. His name is on a plaque in Vienna in a museum, a very prestigious museum, regarding the war, Second World War. He was one of the most important people in a network that were getting people, Jews, blacks, people out of Austria, away from Hitler, who was
Oh,
out to
wow.
kill anybody who wasn't white,
Right.
blonde, Aryan, you know,
Right.
and
Right. Right.
they were just out to kill any of those other people that were
Yes.
different to them.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
he helped a lot of people, at least hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And he was kicked out of his own orchestra because of it.
Mm. Oh my
And
goodness.
so, but later he was reinstated, but he had quite a history himself.
Absolutely.
So there was a story of people being persecuted, people being killed in ovens and all kinds of stuff. His wife was Jewish, and he had
Hmm.
to worry every night about the police coming and breaking down the door and taking her away. I mean, so he had a story to tell. And
Yes, you
so
do.
I've just learned about him. I learned about other people overcoming obstacles, and at the same time, again, as I was growing up, I was around more and more young people, and at a better level. And so I decided, this is the life for me. I wanted to be involved with expressing emotions from composers and music.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about Orpheus, and what that means to music, and that's where I think you got some of your Grammy nominations.
Right.
Tell us
An
about
award.
the major recording contract,
Right.
etc. Tell us a little bit about the Orpheus experience.
So Orpheus was made up of young people who had graduated from some of the better schools. Again, the Juilliard, Curtis, all
Hmm.
these different schools who were in New York, good players, but there were only so many jobs.
Yeah.
Very few jobs to get when you're playing, and so many were we were working, eking out a living individually, and at night we would get together. Thought it would be a good idea to have a group, usually in jazz or even rock, and in classical. You don't see conductors. If you see I don't know, Marvin Gaye, or whoever was used to play Elvis, or the
Right.
Beatles, or what. There's nobody telling them what to do. It's just four people or five people,
Right.
and able to play, and that's what chamber
Right.
music is. So Orpheus was based on that idea. We thought, we can do
Hmm.
that, except we can have 20 people or 25
Yes.
people without a conductor. And so we started getting
Wow.
together, playing, rehearsing. We played for free in libraries and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And then it's like a Hollywood movie. The phone rings, and we got an opportunity to play in Carnegie Hall. And
Oh,
some group had canceled at the last minute, and we were called. Our teachers from these schools like Juilliard and Curtis were well established, and they knew about us. So that's why we got a call saying, "Listen, can you next Saturday night? Uh, the stage is yours. Um, you know." Would you like to play? And of course, we had been working on a particular program. So anyway, again, a Hollywood movie.
yes.
We showed up and played, and we didn't know how people were going to feel about it. Seeing a group
Right.
of 20, 25 people playing, no conductor. How is that going to work?
Right.
So the
Right.
focus, instead
Right.
of on one person, on the conductor, was on each of us, and we were pretty good, and it was a huge success. People were
Wow.
standing, and they loved, and again, it was just like
Wow.
something out of a Hollywood movie. And then we went on this, we were asked by our State Department. They started sending us on tours. Where did they send us? They sent us to all the places where we were trying to make friends. India, or
Oh,
Vietnam
yeah.
or
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah.
places. This was the late 70s.
Right, right,
And
right.
then it spread that we started doing well. And then Deutsche Grammophon, which is at the time, it's a record label
Okay.
for classical music, and in Germany. But they have this worldwide, what is it called? Subscription that it's a very famous label. And actually,
Mm-hmm.
some jazz people, Herbie Hancock, we played and recorded with Herbie
Mm-hmm.
Hancock. Um, anyway, they
Ooh.
signed us to a 70 recording contract. And then among the records that we recorded, we won a few Grammy award, plenty of Grammy nominations, and a few Grammy awards. So then things started to pick up for me, and yeah, so it just steamrolled. But before that, the
Yes.
cab, and I played for the president of the United
Well, wait,
States.
before we
Yeah,
get
I'm
to
sorry.
that, before we get to
Okay.
that, that's okay. Before we get to that, let's go back a little bit because we do have younger people that listen to this podcast, and we do have
Hmm.
people from all over the world that listen to this podcast.
Great.
Please explain to the audience what it means to play in Carnegie Hall, especially during that time period that you're speaking of. Describe Carnegie Hall and what that meant to artists.
Well, Carnegie Hall to artists, and I'm talking about every artist, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, um, FDR, I mean, presidents galore. Carnegie Hall is a shrine of our country for music,
Yes.
for the most important people of the day. I guess
Yes.
Carnegie Hall is to music what Yankee Stadium is to
Yeah.
baseball.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
shrine. I mean,
It's a
that's the
shrine.
best
That's a
way
great way of
I
putting
can
it.
put it. And
Yes,
so
absolutely.
it's our shrine, our American shrine.
And only the very best. I mean, you have to
Yeah,
be of a certain quality
right,
of an artist to
right,
appear in Carnegie Hall. So,
right.
Carnegie Hall, at least when I was a little girl, to hear somebody was playing at Carnegie Hall was like they were the absolute best,
Yeah.
the top of their profession, and also an honor to play in Carnegie Hall.
Well, it
It
certainly
was
is.
one of the
Yeah.
things
During the
musicians
summer,
strive to.
yes, that's true. During the summer, they have programs for young people where
Oh.
they open the hall up so that people can perform in Carnegie Hall and have the experience. Of course, they have to they have to pay a little something to play, and that helps because in the
Mhm.
summer, the season, the concerts, the from the professionals, they don't happen in the summertime. Summertime is a kind of the off season, and the season really starts sort of middle to the end of September, and it goes through May or something like that. But
Mhm.
during the season, to be paid to play in Carnegie Hall is a real honor, and it's an honor just to
Yeah.
be there. I mean, the
Yes, absolutely. In the
stage,
audience.
yeah, and well, it's just absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Yes. And now, so here's another thing I wanted to step back to.
yeah,
Once Orpheus, appeared in Carnegie Hall, and then the State Department sent you out to all of these
right.
countries to play and for people we're trying to make friends with. Did you all then get paid?
Oh yeah, of course,
Okay.
absolutely.
We just want to make
Oh no,
sure
no,
we're
no.
clear that it
Oh no, no.
started off
Once,
free.
yeah, absolutely. Once, and
Yeah.
when we played in Carnegie Hall that first time, I don't even remember. It was 1978. So it's a long time ago. I don't
Yeah.
honestly. If we got paid, it was probably maybe $100 or something.
Right.
But oh no, once we started touring, then we had to get paid. We were away from,
Thank
if
goodness.
those of us who had families or had a job, you know,
Yes.
those were the days when I was driving a cab. I mean,
Yes.
I was afraid when I was driving a cab, taking people to Carnegie Hall. I was afraid, well, who's going to recognize me? But the other musicians that I played with, if they saw me in a cab driving at that time, I
Yes.
don't think it would have been so great. But today we know there are many, artists that are terrific at
Yeah.
everything, actors, and they
Yes.
they do things like drive cabs and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Waiters and waitresses, absolutely.
absolutely.
Just go
Yep.
to LA and you can
New
see the
York,
next star.
dreamers, a lot of dreamers.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
Dreamers that have to pay bills. And
That's
so
right.
therefore
That's
now,
it.
so I do have a technical question. So
Yeah.
you have said repeatedly that your group, your chamber Orpheus, chamber orchestra Orpheus, had no conductor.
Yeah.
So someone in your group had to
Mhm.
act as a leader. Somebody had
Yeah.
to start, or how did you all help do that? There's got to be a lot of egos. How did you all handle that?
So when you look at a popular music group, any of them, I'm going to say, groups that I know, the Beatles, that'll tell you how old I am. Um, who starts? So if whoever has the lead, I mean, whoever has the lead in
Okay.
the beginning, Paul
Right.
McCartney,
Okay.
okay, he's gonna, Michelle. I don't know how it starts,
Right.
but any of those
Right.
songs, yesterday,
Right.
somebody
Right. Right.
goes boom, and they start. It could be the drummer. It could
Right.
be
Right.
whatever.
It
You
depends on
hear,
what the
yeah.
piece is. Then it
It
depends
depends on
on
what
what
the
the
piece
piece is.
is.
Okay.
It's different
Yes.
from Duke Ellington. He would maybe count off, or he would do something.
Yes.
And so Count Basie, they were ahead. They were sort of like the conductor, although they didn't stand in
Yes.
front of the group and wave their
Right.
hands. They're playing piano. Herbie Hancock, he
Yes.
would probably lead. But our group, whoever had the solo in the beginning, it could be the clarinet, it could be anybody,
Right.
they have the lead. And
Right.
so chamber music is a group of musicians without conductor. And that what
Yes.
you get from that is that everyone is actively involved. No one person is telling you what to do, how fast,
Right.
slow, loud, soft. So so you're right. There has to be some kind of organized way.
Right.
And the
Right.
way
Right.
we
Right.
do it is so whoever has the melody will go
Yes.
from one person to another person. It's like a conversation.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
when you
Absolutely.
get together with 3 or 4 of your best friends and you go out to have coffee, let's say, and you're sitting at a table, who decides who speaks first? Who decides?
True. Right.
Right?
Right.
You
Right.
look at each other and
Absolutely.
somebody said, "Guess what happened to me last night?" And then
Right.
you're off, right?
Then
And
you're off.
so, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what
Absolutely.
happens with a group of musicians, depending on what they play. Somebody's going to have more to say in the beginning than the others, and that's the person that's going to lead.
Got it. Absolutely got it. Now tell us now about you played for a president, and were you driving the taxi still?
Oh, absolutely. I was involved with a lot of really great musicians, and we were asked, this particular group. There were 5 of us, and we were a really good group. Anyway, they called us to play at the White House. This first time I did it was for President Carter. I don't know if not too many people may be listening. He was a president. He was a farmer from Georgia. Well, he wasn't really a farmer, but he had. Anyway, he was a president. He was the president of the
Yes.
United States. So
Yes.
he was having some kind of get together for members of Congress and that kind of stuff. And we were asked to play for an hour for sort of, they were sitting down and they were listening, and then they would go about doing their thing. And I remember that. And we played. I shook hands with Rosalind Carter, his wife, and she had the softest hands. I was thinking, this lady has never washed a dish in her life. No way. You see, and I was
Wow.
like looking at my clock because I had to rush back to New York to drive my cab. And so that's I picked up people and I told them what I did that day, played for the President of the United States.
And they said, yeah, right.
So
yeah,
they started
right.
looking at their watch. They wanted to get out of the cab.
He's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was absolutely true. So I have a lot of stories like that in the book. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've played, last but not least, you played with musical royalty, Yo-Yo Ma, Itzhak Perlman. And I used to like to hear Itzhak Perlman's name when I was a little girl. It just sounded so official.
Exotic.
You knew what he was doing just because of his name.
Exotic.
What was it like to play with these people?
It depended on who they were. Some were very nice. I had the pleasure of working with a soprano. Her name was Kathleen Battle.
Yes, I'm
she was a great star, African American opera singer from the Met. But she was very beautiful lady, the most beautiful voice, and we did. Summertime, the song Summertime.
Yes.
If you Google Kathleen Battle Summertime, Andre Previn was also
I know that name.
So he was conducting. So if you Google Kathleen Battle Summertime, Andre Previn, or even just Previn, you'll come to a recording on YouTube that or Google, whatever, that starts with a clarinet solo, and it's me that's playing. Anyway, she was very demanding, and we have to do it again. We have to do it again, and she get very upset. And afterwards, after the recording session, which I thought went really well, she was standing right behind me singing it, just the way we were doing it in the studio.
Right.
And Andre Previn, he's a famous. He was married to Mia Farrow or a bunch of famous people.
I think it's people. Mia Farrow. I think I remember him being married to Mia Farrow. I was going to say Julie Andrews, but I was like, no, Blake Edwards, a director, was her husband.
Right.
It's Mia Farrow, I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, but a very, very famous conductor, and really a very sweet man. He's very sweet. And he came up to Kathleen Battle afterwards and said to her, you have the most beautiful voice in the world. Absolutely gorgeous. You're a wonderful musician, and you're the biggest bitch I've ever worked with. And she was going, I know. So that's just, she had a kind of reputation anyway. She was difficult to work with. She was, so that was a very funny kind of experience that I had.
There goes the definition of the word diva.
There goes
diva.
She was absolutely a diva. Absolutely. But she is great. I mean, I don't know how much she's singing now, but she's great, wonderful voice. She probably does a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, David Singer, thank you so much for joining Bookaholic podcast today. Here is his beautiful story from cab driver to Carnegie Hall.
Right.
There will be a link in the podcast show notes as well as the YouTube video description box about David and a link to his book. Thank you so much, David. We appreciate it.
I just wanted to thank you. It's also on audiobook for any of the people who drive around, and so it's on audiobook.
Absolutely.
All on Amazon.
Absolutely. We'll have that link there, and it'll show all the iterations of the book.
Thank you, Deirdre. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you so much.